Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today, we'll explore one of the most emotional chapters in the story of Tu Tien and Father Phuong, a touching journey of love, loss, and the strength to carry on. Through heartbreak and hope, we'll witness how Tu Tien transforms her pain into courage and keeps her father's memory alive. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss the next episodes. And please, tell us in the comments where you're watching from and how this story made you feel. Your thoughts mean so much to us. The sun dips low, painting the sky in shades of burning red and sorrowful gold. The dusty path to Father Phuong's old house glows beneath the fading light. Tu Tien walks slowly, each step heavy, her arms trembling slightly as she holds a tray of freshly baked cakes, her small gift, her fragile bridge back to him. The sweet scent of flour and sugar mixes with the scent of dry grass and smoke from distant fires. It feels like the world itself is holding its breath. By the edge of a dried pond, Father Phuong sits quietly on a wooden bench that has weathered too many monsoons. His once strong shoulders seem smaller now, his back slightly hunched. His face, rough and lined with years of labor and loneliness, looks like a sky that has forgotten how to rain. When Tu Tien approaches, her shadow falls across him. He lifts his gaze, and for a moment, their eyes meet. Hers glimmering with hope and fear, his filled with the quiet ache of distance. "Dad," she says softly, setting the tray beside him. Her voice shakes, but she forces a small smile. "I made these for you. Would you try one?" He nods faintly. His fingers tremble as he picks up a cake. The first bite brings a faint spark of life to his face. His lips curl into a fragile smile, the kind that both warms and breaks your heart. "It's delicious," he murmurs, the words thin but sincere. "You've gotten better. You could sell these, you know. People would line up for them." Tu Tien laughs softly, but her eyes are wet. "Maybe someday. I want to learn trading, build something small of my own." Her voice carries a trace of lightness, but when Father Phuong sets the cake down and his tone drops low, that flicker fades. "Tu Tien," he says, his eyes wandering toward the cracked pond bed. "I heard Chien and Mother Tui stopped by. They still talk about you." The sound of those names chills the air. The faint evening breeze turns cold. Tu Tien lowers her gaze, her heart tightening. "I haven't seen them in a while," she replies quietly, but he hears the tremor beneath her words. Father Phuong sighs, the sound heavy with unspoken things. "They mean no harm, but I worry." "Worry," she whispers. "I'm afraid," he says after a pause, "that I've become a burden. To you, to Jack. You've already carried enough because of me." Tu Tien's breath catches. "Dad, don't say that." But he only shakes his head gently, a sad smile pulling at his lips. "You deserve peace, child. You and Jack are building a new life. I don't want my shadow following you." The words cut deep, sharp as broken glass. Tu Tien's eyes fill, her fingers clutching his hand tightly as if she could anchor him with love alone. "You're not a burden," she insists. "You're family. Always." He squeezes her hand once, weakly, then lets go. His gaze drifts again, far beyond her, into the dying light over the barren pond. The silence between them swells until it feels unbearable. Even the birds have stopped singing. Tu Tien forces a smile, her lips trembling. Then, "Will you eat another?" He doesn't answer, but she knows. The warmth has already begun to fade from his touch. She gathers the tray again and stands. The weight feels lighter now, yet her chest feels impossibly heavy. As she walks back down the dirt path, the last glow of sunset spills over her figure, turning her tears into shards of light. The wind picks up, whispering through the grass, a soft, mournful sound, like a farewell. Behind her, Father Phuong sits still, a lone figure carved into the dusk. His love, quiet and selfless, burns in the air, unseen but eternal. The pond reflects their pain in its cracked surface, two souls bound by loss and gratitude. When Tu Tien reaches the bend of the road, she stops and looks back one last time. The house stands small and silent under the crimson sky. She presses a hand to her chest and breathes in the ache. That moment becomes a promise. Even if it hurts, she whispers to herself, I'll keep moving forward. For him. The sun sinks completely, swallowing the path in shadow. Yet within her, where grief meets love, something fierce begins to grow. Night descends slowly, wrapping the world in its cold arms. The small house creaks under the weight of silence. A single candle flickers on the table, its light trembling like Tu Tien's heart. She stands near the doorway, clutching a folded letter. Father Phuong's handwriting scattered across it like fragile leaves. Her eyes trace every word, her fingers trembling. Each sentence feels like a wound that refuses to close. He wrote that he'd gone away, that he couldn't bear to interrupt her happiness, that the thought of being a burden haunted him every day. He said he hoped the distance would free her, that she would smile more easily without worrying about him. But the words don't feel like kindness. They feel like goodbye. Her vision blurs. Tears fall soundlessly, landing on the ink until the letters bleed and fade. She presses the paper to her lips, sobbing quietly. In her mind, she sees him again, sitting by the dry pond, smiling weakly, praising her cakes. She hears the warmth in his voice, feels the roughness of his hand in hers, and then she feels the emptiness where he should be. The letter slips slightly from her grasp, crumpled and damp from tears. A soft knock pulls her from the darkness. Jack stands beside her now, silent, steady, eyes full of concern. He doesn't speak at first. He simply rests a hand on her shoulder, grounding her against the storm of grief that threatens to break her apart. I'll find him tomorrow, he finally says, voice low, calm and resolute. Wherever he's gone, I'll bring him back. Tu Tien looks up at him, her eyes wide and glistening. Jack. But words fail her. She can only nod as the tears keep coming. Slow, relentless, like the rain tapping on the window. Jack pulls her close, and for a moment, she lets herself fall into his arms. His warmth is the only light in this night that seems to have no end. The letter, lying on the table, catches a gust of wind and flutters weakly, like a final whisper from Father Phuong's heart. Tu Tien reaches for it again, clutching it tightly to her chest. She can feel its weight, its pain, its love. And quietly, beneath her trembling breath, she vows, I won't let this pain break me. I'll carry it. I'll carry him. The wind wails outside, echoing her sorrow, but also something else, a faint, defiant strength beginning to stir within her. Jack's presence steadies her. The night feels endless, but she knows dawn will come. Even in heartbreak, a promise has been born, to honor Father Phuong's love not with tears, but with courage. The next morning dawns gray and silent, the mist clinging to the fields like a veil of sorrow. Tu Tien hasn't slept. Her eyes are swollen, her heart heavy, but there's a quiet determination in the way she moves. She folds Father Phuong's letter carefully and tucks it into her coat pocket, as if afraid it might vanish if left behind. Jack stands by the doorway, already dressed and ready to search. His face is drawn, the lines of worry deepened by the sleepless night. When Tu Tien steps out, he takes her hand. No words are exchanged. They simply nod to each other, two souls bound by the same ache. The village wakes slowly. The morning air smells of damp earth and distant wood smoke. They ask neighbors, visit the small tea house, stop by the bus station. Everyone remembers seeing an older man, thin, wearing a worn brown jacket, boarding an early coach heading toward the countryside. Tu Tien's heart twists. "That must be him," she whispers. Jack gives a quiet nod. "Then that's where we'll go." Hours later, the road winds through rice paddies and fields half drowned in morning fog. The bus stop is empty now, save for a single vendor selling fruit. When Tu Tien shows the vendor a photo of Father Phuong, the old woman squints and points down the road. "He was here," she says. "He bought a small bag of rice and left toward the old bridge." Tu Tien bows in thanks, her voice trembling with gratitude. They follow the dirt path, each step echoing with the sound of memory. His laughter, his stories, the warmth of his presence. When they reach the bridge, they find a bamboo walking stick lying by the railing. Tu Tien freezes. Her breath catches as she bends down to pick it up. It's his. She knows the feel of it, the smooth handle, the worn grooves from his grip. Her tears spill anew. Jack gently touches her shoulder. "He might still be nearby," he says softly. "Let's keep going." They cross the bridge and enter a small clearing surrounded by tall grass. The wind moves through it with a soft hiss, like whispered prayers. There, by the edge of a pond, not unlike the dry one near his home, lies Father Phuong's hat, set carefully on a stone. Tu Tien sinks to her knees, clutching it to her chest. "Why, Dad? Why did you leave us like this?" Jack kneels beside her, his voice low and steady. "Sometimes, people run away not because they want to disappear, but because they think that's the only way to protect the ones they love." She shakes her head, sobbing. "But I would have taken care of him. I would have done anything." "I know," Jack whispers. "He knew too. That's why he loved you enough to let go." The words hang in the air like a fragile truth, painful yet healing. Tu Tien closes her eyes. For a long while, there's only the sound of wind and her uneven breathing. Then, quietly, she begins to speak, not to Jack, but to the emptiness before her. "Dad," she says, voice trembling, "I don't know where you are. Maybe you're walking somewhere peaceful. Maybe you're just resting. But please know, I'm not angry. I understand now. You didn't want to hurt me. You wanted me to be free. But I'll never forget you. Not one day." Her words drift into the mist, carried away by the morning breeze. Jack helps her to her feet. "Come on," he murmurs. "Let's go home." As they walk back, Tu Tien looks up at the sky. The clouds begin to break, letting thin rays of light fall through. It's as if the world itself is reminding her that even after darkness, there is always dawn. Days pass. The house feels emptier now, the small wooden chair by the window untouched, the teacups still set on the table. But the emptiness is softer, no longer cruel. Tu Tien has started baking again, the same cakes she once brought to Father Phuong. This time, she makes them with a steadier hand and a gentler smile. She sells them at the local market, just as he once told her to. Jack watches her from afar, proud and quietly moved. Each morning, she packs her basket, places a few cakes aside on a separate tray, and whispers, "For you, Dad," before heading out. The villagers begin to know her name, the woman with the kind eyes and the sweet cakes that seem to carry warmth inside them. Children gather around her stall, laughing, calling her Auntie Tu. She smiles, her heart lighter with each passing day. One afternoon, as she counts her earnings under the shade of a tamarind tree, an elderly man approaches, a stranger, yet not entirely unfamiliar. His eyes hold the same softness, the same quiet strength as Father Phuong's. He buys a cake, takes a bite, and smiles. "You remind me of someone," he says gently. "A man I met not long ago. He told me about a girl, his daughter, who makes cakes that taste like sunshine." Tu Tien's breath catches. "You met him?" The man nods. He didn't say much, just that he was proud of her, that he was finally at peace. Her hands tremble. Tears gather, but this time they aren't heavy. They fall lightly, like the first drops of rain after a long drought. "Thank you," she whispers. "Thank you for telling me." The man smiles, nods once, and continues down the road. Tu Tien stands still, her heart full, her soul calm. She doesn't chase after him. She doesn't need to. Some goodbyes, she realizes, are meant to be carried, not undone. That evening, she returns home. The setting sun glows softly through the window, and the air smells of flour and sugar. She sets one cake on the table, lights a candle beside it, and closes her eyes. "Dad," she says quietly, "I hope you can see me now. I'm doing what you told me. I'm learning to live with courage." Behind her, Jack wraps his arms gently around her shoulders. "He'd be proud," he says. She leans into him, smiling faintly. "I think so too." For a while, they stand together, watching the candlelight flicker, a small, steady flame in the growing dusk. Outside, the wind stirs softly through the trees. The world feels whole again, even with the ache still there. Because love, Tu Tien realizes, isn't about holding on forever. It's about learning to live bravely after letting go. As the last light fades from the horizon, she whispers a final promise into the still air. "I'll keep going, Dad. Every step, every sunrise, every smile." And with that, Tu Tien smiles, not through tears, but through peace. Her journey isn't over. It has only just begun.